Indeed.
Did you watch the coronation?
Not a second of it.
No, I haven't seen it.
Not
I
a
haven't
second.
seen a
I
second of
could
it at
not
all.
give a rat's ass.
About.
And I've met the guy.
Yeah, true.
Chippy. Chippy must have been there as well. Yeah?
Who's Chippy?
Christopher Hipkins.
Oh,
who's
the Prime Minister.
Prime Minister of
Is
New
his name
Zealand.
Chippy?
Well, people call him Chippy because it's Christopher Hipkins. See, Chippy.
I get it.
There he is. That's why they call him.
It was kind of a weak finger because that's
Yeah.
no.
Your last one was really crisp. Yeah. Do it again. Oh, fuck.
The first one was left-handed. Wasn't as good.
Whoa. Wow. That's a whip.
Exactly.
You've got there. Jeez,
I got
Louise.
big thumbs.
That's a hell. Yeah.
What can I
Mine's
say?
so pussy in comparison.
I know. It's a sad state of affairs listening to that, even with your new microphones.
Yeah, exactly. That's how we're testing them out. Anyway, Mark.
I'm back in New Zealand.
You are back in New Zealand.
So are you.
Well, yes, we're both back from our Oriental trips.
Mm.
Are you allowed to say that these days?
Oriental?
Oriental?
Did you ever read Edward Said's book on Orientalism?
No, it's on my read list.
It's kind of painful reading. I had to read it in my first year of university.
Orientalism?
Yes.
No, I haven't read that. Is it about all countries in the Orient? What is the Orient? What does it really encompass? Like all of Asia?
I think it's kind of an archaic term at this point.
I remember like there used to be 2-minute noodles, and there used to be chicken flavored and Oriental flavored.
It's pretty vague.
Could be anything.
Could be anything.
Yeah, it could be a lot of different things.
Yeah.
Write in the comments below what you think Oriental flavored 2-minute noodles taste like.
Yeah.
Yeah. You might know. You might have had a good experience with it.
Might be your old favourite flavour.
Yeah.
Was it the purple one?
Yeah, it might have been.
Because I think like chicken was green, beef was red, and I think Oriental was purple.
You still love a bit of 2-minute noodles.
We've all been students.
Yeah. Well, when I was a kid, I liked it. Yeah, it's actually not bad breakfast food. Have you ever had 2-minute noodles for breakfast?
I've had lots of noodles for breakfast. I lived in China for 7 years.
Well, 100%. I like a pho for breakfast. A pho, sorry.
Pho.
Yeah, it's quite replenishing.
Okay.
Especially after a hard night, gets all the.
Never done Vietnamese for breakfast.
Well, maybe that's something you could do. Now that door. Do
you want to latch it?
I'll go latch it. How about that? You keep everyone company, but then eventually we'll actually start talking about the topic of the podcast. What sport it is again? What sport did we talk about?
We talked about UFC last time, Israel Adesanya, with some finishing moves. We talked a bit about rugby league, but I'm pretty sure.
What does it tell us?
It's.
Hold on, wait for me to come back, because then it might be, if I'm editing around this.
Oh, look at that. Brute strength of the man.
Quite incredible.
You guys didn't see that, but I saw it.
Yeah, and what else you can't see, actually, just below the front, he's perched a real Kalen Doris straight off the bat by seeing that masculinity from me.
Exactly right.
Oh, I'm a little bit awkward now.
Rugby.
Rugby is the name of the game that we talk about once a week, and we haven't talked about it for a while. We talked about it once while you were away and I was still in the country, but I never even attempted to do it while I was in Malaysia.
Right.
So good on you for getting one done while you were away, because
I did watch a decent amount of rugby while I was away, but it was not as easy as it is in New Zealand.
I watched a very little. I watched a little bit. Yeah. So we both haven't watched our extensive portfolios of rugby you usually would watch, but there was some pretty good rugby.
Yes.
And around the place, and there's still a lot of talking points in the world of rugby going on at the moment as well.
There's a lot that's happened, I think, since the last time we met in New Zealand.
Should we go through a little hyper point of what's actually happened?
Do you want to start? Did we talk much about Razor in the last one? How long ago is this?
No, did we talk about Razor in the one when you were in Malaysia?
I wasn't in Malaysia.
You were in China.
I was in China.
China. I was in Malaysia.
Yes.
Okay, good. I'm glad we got that sorted.
Good.
Let's
They're both in the Orient.
They are in the Orient. But by the way, if I haven't included that in the thing, no one's going to get that reference. Because that often happens.
Okay.
That we think we're being really clever. And we're
referencing something that happened earlier.
That you may not have seen. And if you have seen it, I hope you enjoyed it.
Edward Said, folks. I'm just going to put that out there.
Yeah. Orientalism. Is it quite a racist book?
No.
Okay, we'll come back to that.
Let's not. I didn't. I got a C in that paper. I think.
Okay, so we could talk more about the fact that the
coaching staff has been named.
Staff.
Yes.
And I heard a very interesting point made that rugby is one of the only sports in the world where it's more lucrative, or not lucrative, or there's more esteem in being an assistant coach than being a coach of a top class side in Super Rugby or
Who's saying that?
Well, and you can just see it's the evidence. Like
the fact that someone would give up a head coaching role of a Super Rugby team to take up an assistant role, a couple of guys of a national team.
Yeah, and that's weird.
Right.
And is that right? And then basically you haven't got the best coaches being head coaches in New Zealand.
I see where you're coming from.
They're all going into being assistant coaches, and it's it's a very massive team to be involved with, the All Blacks and all that sort of thing. And I think also getting that role, you've seen the pathway. You're like, if I can do this right,
I can get that job. I think that's the same thing. Like we saw John Plumtree. He was assistant at the Canes for many years under Chris Boyd. Chris Boyd realised he was never going to get a crack at the AB's job, so he left. Plumtree stepped up to the Canes for a year, and then he was like, all right, I'll be the assistant to Ian Foster.
Yeah.
Because he'd seen the previous appointments for All Blacks coach had always come from that assistant's role. So I can imagine that's the only carrot that's dangling in front of people who are head coaches to take on that assistant's job. You've got to believe I can get the All Blacks head coaching role if I do this well.
And that's why Liam McDonald's...
I would say so. He's potentially turned down Scotland.
Yes, and turned down a head coaching role of an international team, of a team that's
left
really,
his current Super Rugby
a team
role.
that's really on the up and up. That could be really quite exceptional team to coach. And then, what he's done, I'm quite gutted as a Blues fan. The Blues have been scratchy this year.
We have been scratchy.
Even
it's almost like the coach is playing with like kind of two roles on his mind rather than the current one.
Well, you even see that with the Crusaders a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
This is the first year where I haven't been, gassy, pardon me. And it's probably going to be less forgiving coming through this microphone.
Exactly.
Unless there is a good chance as well, you'll know this, that I have completely screwed up the connections of one of these.
We're just listening on the camera microphone, which is going to sound fantastic.
We sound tinny as. But if we don't sound tinny as, they're going to pick up more of those dulcet burps and stuff that I like to give everybody. Anyway, it's a weird thing. Like, and losing Leon, it makes it a little bit stressed as a fan of the Blues, because we've had such a bad run for so long, and he's been the one coach that's actually turned things around a little bit.
That's right. I was recently just looking back because I was looking at the Super Rugby log and just seeing Moana Pacifica haven't got any wins. So I was looking back through recent years.
I felt for them last night.
Me as well. We'll get to the recent results in a bit, but I was looking back to see which other teams have gone through a Super Rugby campaign winless. And as I was scrolling through
Crusaders?
A few years ago, not the Crusaders, but it occurred to me, like, you don't have to click back through many years of Super Rugby to see the Blues were a pretty shit team for a long time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like every year, we would get 3 wins, 4 wins or something like that.
We couldn't beat another New Zealand team for years.
Yeah,
I mean,
literally.
Year on year, we would just
get close to the Highlanders at Eden Park, maybe.
Get close to the Chiefs or the Hurricanes would score a last-minute try that would break hearts and But Leon, and I think Leon's first year wasn't that great, but he's turned it around in a big way.
Really well. Like all the previous ones, like Tana didn't really live up to the expectations. John
Kerwin's dog shite.
Pat Lam didn't do that well. So we were crap for a long time, and then like you said, Leon turned it around. So it is disconcerting to see that potentially change again, but hopefully he does well with the ABs. I think Hurricanes fans will actually be pretty happy their coach is leaving. He's not that popular.
Yeah, well, they lost on the weekend as well, didn't they?
They did to the Drua.
Ooh, your favourite team.
My favourite team.
Yeah. Oh, well. Yeah, there was it's actually good to see a couple of upsets and stuff still happening in Super Rugby, because I think that's one of the biggest problems we're having in rugby across the world is one-sided games.
Predictability.
Oh, God, it's...
Do you want to tackle the games from recent weeks, or is there anything else that's been kind of major in the news that you...
Can I tell you a few things I'd like to talk about in this podcast? I want to talk a little bit about RTS and his decision.
Yep.
I also want to talk a little bit about some of the re-signings.
Okay. Jacques Neinaber is leaving.
Oh, yeah, I heard that. We can talk about that. I want to give you how about I throw this at you right now? Okay? Right now I'm going to throw Damien McKenzie, Bowden Barrett, or Richie Mwanga. Right? Okay? So you can only have 2 of those players in your 23 because it doesn't make sense to have all 3 of them. Mm-hmm. What 2 do you have and where do you put them? Oh, she's a tricky beast, isn't it?
Right now,
At this moment. World Cup knockout game.
I'm chucking DMac in, man.
Yeah, he's looking sensational.
He's just looking the business.
Yeah, he really is.
Which is not something you would have said when he first came back from Japan, when he was looking not that flash. It's taken him a little while to build some momentum, but geez, he's got that momentum now.
Yeah, he's the talisman for the Chiefs.
Yeah, exactly.
And the Chiefs are sensational.
They are. They're playing some unbelievable rugby.
With
back three. Shooter.
McGavin.
Narawa. Oh my God.
Oh, geez, we give both and Kalen Doris is here. He is good. If you're watching from a different part of the world and you're thinking to yourself, who's going to be the bolter? The All Blacks will usually have
just watch the Chiefs and look at some of their outside backs, basically.
Yeah, and I was like, what does that do for Talia? Like, and then is he going to get pushed out? I guess.
Yeah.
It's a good year for Sevu Reece is a great player, but unfortunately he's gone. So it's opened up a spot there in the outside backs.
Exactly right.
And there are a number of players really saying, "Pick me, I'm bloody good," and you're like, "Yes, you are."
At Super Rugby level.
Okay,
anyway.
so we started jizzing everywhere about the outside backs in Super Rugby. So back to the original question: Moanga, Barrett, McKenzie.
So I'm chucking DMac in, and I'll keep Barrett as my bench guy.
Okay,
so Moanga gets the ass, sadly. Sorry, Richie.
Ooh, because he's not actually looking that flash out there at the moment.
He's solid. Like, he's doing fine.
Yeah, okay.
But at international level, I think Beaudy's still got him, and Beaudy is a little bit more versatile in terms of his coverage.
And he's just got that clutch class.
Yeah. Otherwise, if you don't want to start DMac, if you go more like what likely the selectors will do, I think they go with Richie starting and then DMac on the bench. Beaudy gets the ass.
Okay, but you don't even...
I don't see Beaudy starting at the moment.
Really? So you put DMac at number 10?
Based on the way he's playing right now, I can't.
And then who are you putting at fullback?
Fullback?
Well, because then you do what they've been doing, having dual pivots coming up and always one of the backs. Because that's where Bodie's been playing a lot of his All Black rugby of late, is a fullback.
Back at fullback where he doesn't want to play.
Yeah. Who do you put? Yeah.
Or do they put Geordie Barrett back at fullback instead of number 12? Or do they put Will Jordan at fullback for a change instead of on the wing?
Nobody's seen Will Jordan for weeks.
He played this weekend.
How did he go?
He was good.
Yeah?
He was good. Yeah, he still looks dangerous.
Yeah.
But the All Blacks don't like playing him at fullback.
Which I don't understand.
They always play him on the wing.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, well, it's pretty worrying his is just all head injury stuff, isn't it? It's getting migraines.
Will Jordan's got like an inner ear problem which causes migraines and like balance issues, but I don't think it's concussion related. So
really?
Yeah, he's just got dodgy ears.
Seriously. And then if he takes a hit in the ear during a game, and he can,
I think he's more likely to
have a brain bleed or something
I don't
crazy
know.
like that.
It's all a bit hush hush because it's his own medical profile, so they don't say too much because it's kind of private. But
right, yeah.
My understanding is it's an inner ear problem.
You know what's great about being very very much unknown in the world of rugby podcasting and all that sort of thing. I can say that you could get a brain bleed, but if that was like a big time person saying that, headlines: Will Jordan
brain bleed,
lawsuit
coming your way.
Yeah, exactly. So there's a lot to sort of ponder and what they do and where they go. And
who are you picking?
Yeah, look, I'm with you. I think you've got to go DMac. He's just world class right now. He's just looking.
Are you putting your man Shooter at 15?
Yeah, I'd like to. Yeah, I'd like to put Shooter.
Has he got the guns for international rugby?
Yeah, he's got the shotgun. He's just looking phenomenal right now. I'd like to see his defensive efforts to be a little bit tighter, but I think if he can just get into the right environment and have the players around him to and trust that he will do that.
He's playing well enough that he needs a crack between now and the World Cup to at least show what he's got.
100%.
At least a couple of games.
Yeah, 1,000%. I think Neinaber needs to be at number 14 at the moment. And then where do you put... I don't think Caleb Clark is quite there right now. I think he is very much a fringe player.
Talia's injured at the moment, so it's hard to say, but yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Will Jordan's in his comeback. There's a lot of question marks.
Yeah.
There's only a few rounds of Super Rugby to go as well.
There's a huge amount of talent. Yeah. So I think it's this year... the Rugby Championship is going to be wildly important.
Yes.
And for you people watching outside of New Zealand, there's some... I'm not worried about... Don't be worried about any of our forwards. They're all kind of middling at the moment. I'm sure you might like some players right now. but there's some serious quality in the outside backs that want to come through.
Outside backs.
And if DMac can play with the form that he's in the moment, sensational stuff.
If the All Blacks are game enough to pick him, that's the only question, yeah. They need to take a chance instead of just kind of sticking and slightly adjusting the crop that they've been going through. But
you know, one thing I like about the fact that we've retained Fozzie,
right,
is... Oh, they haven't even set my lights up. Look over here. The one thing that we have... Sorry. Retained Fozzie has meant that he can sort of just go... He's not looking to the future.
Right.
Like, even if a player said, I'm not playing rugby next year, like RTS, if RTS was playing well enough...
He can just pick him.
They can just pick him.
Bugger it, doesn't matter.
It's not my problem next year.
Yeah, exactly. They don't have to bring in any young guys. I can literally just play all the oldest guys in the teams, all the most experienced guys. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, and if it goes well, he's going to be... He can just give the big finger to people like me and everybody else.
That tattoo of yours.
Yes. Well, I think I'm pretty far off for that. I'm pretty safe on that front. Yeah. Although you do like to bring it up quite often.
I do like to bring it up. I'm a good friend.
Although the good thing about it, no, I'm not even going to encourage you to do that.
Cards.
No. I think we're miles off of that. By the way, what we're talking about is there's a video that I've made about how poor... it was an emotional video I made about how poor Fozzie was as a coach right after the Irish series. And I've said if he wins the World Cup and that video gets 75,000 views, I'll get a tattoo saying I'm sorry with his face on my ass.
Wouldn't that look great? That'd be great YouTube viewing.
It really
take
would.
the camera to the tattoo parlor.
Yeah, here we go. But that video has only got like 22,000 views.
Wait till the World Cup when rugby interest is peaking.
I don't think people are gonna want to watch like old videos about Fozzie. Wow.
If he bombs out, then it will get a lot of views. But then you're still safe.
I'm
anyway.
safe. Then I'm safe. Then I'm safe. Then
Okay.
we're all good. Which is probably the more likely situation.
Right.
Oh my gosh.
Your laptop's not plugged in.
Hold on.
Crisis averted. Just
Yeah, almost. Unless it goes off right this moment. God.
professional.
Professional stuff, this. Got plugged in. It's working. Then I have to throw this over that side.
The clock is ticking. It's like defusing a bomb. Can he get there? Cut the red wire.
Ah! Sweating! Okay.
Ooh. Tony's laptop just popped up with a low battery warning because he didn't plug it in
Yeah, very foolish.
before
Very
starting
foolish.
a very professional podcast.
It is it's more professional. We got new mics, if you can't tell, because one of the main things we get is I was about to say a compliment, but it's not. It's quite the opposite. It's a complaint.
It's a complaint. Yeah.
It's a complaint.
But the sound is a bit shit.
Yeah, it can sound a bit crap, and then I often don't reply, but I think to myself, beggars can't be choosers. But we appreciate you watching this, so we hopefully it sounds a little bit better.
Hopefully.
But
Taking steps in the right direction.
if you're a long-time viewer of our podcast, you might know that we often have technical difficulties.
Be it the screen going on and off.
Exactly.
Be it the microphone switching off halfway through the broadcast.
Yeah, or the camera turning off.
turning off, running out of battery. There's
Yeah.
lots of things that can go wrong.
Losing the remote.
It's a rich,
Yeah,
it's a rich tapestry.
It really is a tapestry of fucking shit.
Jacques
Really.
Neinaber is leaving the Springboks at the end of the World Cup campaign, and the rumours are that Rugby is going to step back into the role. Has
my
he ever
God.
even left the role?
It doesn't feel like it. I feel like
Doesn't feel like
he's like the godfather of South African rugby, isn't he?
Yeah.
They love him. They love him.
Is he literally say, just when I thought I was out?
They bring me back in. Say hello to my little friend.
That's a different movie.
Oh, it is a different movie.
That's Scarface. I
Same-
was talking Godfather.
I know, but it's the same actor.
Same actor.
Yeah, okay. Just from the...
Hamish wouldn't know that.
Well, Hamish wouldn't, but you're quite right. It seems like he is the man who pulls the strings.
Yeah.
Do you think he has had a falling out? Oh, conjecture right now, but
I think
Evan-
Jacques just doesn't like being a head coach.
yeah, right. He
It's
prefers to
an
be-
extra level of pressure. You got to front all the press conferences. I mean, if he is genuinely being the head coach behind the scenes, and Rusty is genuinely just doing director of rugby stuff, it's just a lot more work, I would say. Like
Yeah.
as an assistant coach, you've got your area, you focus on that. You can just
But even if he is like for the players and the team, he is, by all intents and purposes, the assistant coach and doing assistant coach stuff. But then on top of that, has all the crap that nobody wants to do with the press.
Yeah.
He's basically got a smaller role, but with all the crap stuff.
Yeah, he's got the crap jobs, the crap parts of the big job.
Yeah.
So why would you want that? I mean, Rusty, I think he's just a better frontman for like press conference stuff. Jacques is getting better, but he's always looked incredibly awkward at the press conferences.
Yeah. He's quite charismatic, isn't he, old Rusty?
Rusty's very charismatic, whereas Jacques tends to stumble over his words a lot. I mean, that doesn't mean he's not a smart guy. It doesn't mean, it's just not everyone is that eloquent in front of.
Yeah, absolutely. Not everybody is head coach material.
Yeah,
and. So I think there could be a lot to say that really Rusty's always been the man behind it, pulling the strings. And they bloody love it. Like those episodes that we bitched about the fact that he just would not stop complaining on Twitter and it was just a really bad look and it was just really, really
He was speaking to his audience.
Yeah, and they were loving it.
Exactly right.
So many comments just saying, we love him for it.
Yeah.
Because he's the guy who sticks up for us.
That's right.
And you're like,
he's our guy.
Yeah. Like unabashedly.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Which I guess is, you always like that. Sometimes for the teams that like the Warriors that I support, they always seem to get a pretty hard rub of the green.
Right. So when someone sticks up for them, you're like, yes, that's right.
Yeah.
Tell them how it is.
But actually the coach we got right now is actually very good at not firing up about it. He's very professional.
Okay.
Old Webster. Anyway.
Like the dictionary.
Like the dictionary. Yeah. Andrew Webster. Like the dictionary. What
else did you want to talk about? You want to talk about, Jacques. You want to talk about RTS?
Rugby League connection. All Black selections. You can update me on everything else that's happening in the world.
We'll save the results for shortly. I've got some Super Rugby, some Champions Cup, and some URC on my list.
All right, okay. Let's do it.
You would go RTS first. Go on.
Kind of feel for the man. So RTS is leaving New Zealand. Well, he's not leaving New Zealand. He's staying in New Zealand.
But he's switching codes.
To my other team. So it's a weird feeling for me because I adore and love the New Zealand Warriors, the New Zealand Warriors. And obviously I really wanted to see him do well in the All Blacks. But he's a phenomenal world-class rugby league player. So I'm excited to get him back on my team. But the fact he hasn't been able to quite show this rugby union audience how quality he really is, I don't think he has.
No.
I don't know if second 15 was really his position either.
Second 5.
Yeah, sorry.
Maybe he should be in the second 15. He was in the All Blacks 15, which is kind of like the second 15.
Yeah,
that's a Freudian slip, perhaps.
But yeah, I don't know if second 5 was his position because he's used to
space.
He played at fullback in league. Yeah, it was great under the high ball, great at bringing the ball back. I think the question mark was, did he have a kick?
Kicking game, yeah.
So that was one of the reasons why they put him into second 5. But second 5 is such a different position.
It's not one that you can you don't see many guys just slot in there and pick it up.
Defensively, like on attack, the lines you've got to run, like it's just totally different. The amount of space that you have, the way you're actually able to exhibit your skills. Like one of the, even in every single way, it's like just so totally foreign to what he was doing already. And like almost everything that could have gone wrong did go wrong. Like he really needed to cut his teeth at NPC.
Yes,
and then,
which was the initial plan.
Yeah, but
he was going to play NPC. I think even if he'd got that NPC season, because if you guys didn't know, he signed up. He left the Warriors, and then there was still time in that year to play NPC, but we're still talking during COVID. Yeah. So there was a lockdown, which locked down his NPC team, which meant he didn't get a play. So there was a whole season he missed out on.
Which would have been a great time for him just to cut his teeth.
I still think he would have been short. I still think he needed at least another year.
And then he hasn't had a great run with injury.
Yeah, that's right. And so he had to jump in, kind of like Benji Marshall. He had to go straight into Super Rugby.
And to be honest, I think he looked pretty sharp in that first year. I think he's looked better last year than he did this year.
Right.
And people were saying, "Oh, he looks good. It looks like he could be the goods." But yeah, then never.
The progression didn't keep going. It was
how many minutes has he got in an All Black jersey?
Not many.
Very little. He came on
late in one of the tests.
In the Irish test, where we were just about to lose the series for the first time since 1994.
Welcome, Roger.
Yeah, well, you're an All Black now, and, welcome to the club.
Yeah, exactly.
Cuddles, everybody.
Yeah.
So that was pretty depressing.
Yeah.
Not quite as depressing as Stephen Perifet's debut, which was
that was god awful. that looked like a cap to keep.
And when we say it was god awful or the worst debut of all time, it wasn't anything to do with Stephen playing badly or anything like that. He was put on all week. He was paraded around like a prize pig and all the media about it being this player who desperately deserved a debut. He was in all the marketing and all that crap.
They played him for a minute.
They played him in the final minute of the first game that we ever lost to Argentina and New Zealand.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was...
And he was eligible for, was it Samoa?
Yeah, you reckon
it looked like, let's just cap him so he doesn't have second thoughts going into a World Cup.
Just like our man, what's his name?
So Akula.
Yeah, which he's been playing bloody well this year.
All the Chiefs guys are playing well.
Yes.
Yeah, so...
They're really feeling not having Warren Gatland around, aren't they? You know,
at least you'd get some definite direction.
Do you think
Warren Gatland, like, because clearly the Roger Tuivasa-Sheck acquisition, he was promised a run at the All Blacks, clearly. He doesn't just leave the Warriors unless he's promised a run at the All Blacks. They fast-tracked him, absolutely. Like, there's other guys who've been playing well. I mean, Nankerville's the kind of key guy that you look at and go, man, if anyone who's earned a crack at the All Blacks in the midfield, it's Alex Nankerville.
Yeah.
But they didn't, and now he's off abroad at the end of the season. And then Roger just comes in, gets fast-tracked.
Yes.
Would Warren Gatland just be like, yeah, go on, New Zealand Rugby, All Blacks management, just fast-track this motherfucker in?
Yeah.
Excuse my language if this is on my channel.
It is on your channel.
Okay, I shouldn't swear. Apologies if you got children around.
Air Muffet. Yeah, and like there's actually quite a lot of... I don't know if you kept up to date with any of this, but they're calling it in Australia at the moment the Code Wars.
Right.
The Code Wars. And NRL are being really aggressive now. So... I've forgotten his name. The guy is the head of the NRL.
Oh, okay, yeah.
He has brought in this, and this could affect all of world rugby, not just New Zealand and Australia. He's brought in this because they've got a salary cap for each of the NRL teams, where they've basically, so you can't go over a certain amount.
Yeah.
But there's going to be a special allocation of $1 million per team to take players from other codes anywhere in the world.
Wow.
So if you see a fantastic player in South Africa, or you see a fantastic player in England or wherever else in the world,
they could throw the cash at them.
They can throw cash. So just to get the best talent in the world playing league.
Wow.
So
this all comes from Eddie Jones kind of recently.
Sawali.
Yeah.
Yeah, pinching Sawali.
From an NRL club, the Roosters,
yeah,
right?
and making noise about
how he wants to, he's targeting further NRL guys for the Wallabies.
They're targeting Payne Haas, who is probably the best forward in the NRL right now. He's an absolute tank.
Okay.
You'll see him when we watch a bit of Origin.
Okay.
The NRL has been incredible this year.
Right.
Like,
so they're not sitting passively taking this poaching of talent.
And they've done this other thing.
Well, I say poaching, but what's his name? Sawali. Sawali was initially a union guy.
He went to a union school. So
he grew up playing union, and then he gets a contract with a league team, so he becomes a league guy, which is a pretty common story in Australia because there's so many league teams.
Yeah, and they actively try and...
they are looking for league for future league talent from union schools.
100%. And then there's far more notoriety, is quicker available money, easier pathway. You're going to be playing in stadiums in front of 40 to 50,000 people every week rather than 5 to 10.
Right.
You know, it's a pretty big deal.
Right.
Like they make noise over there. They say, and I don't know, it's an interesting point. They say that it's the most prestigious non-international footy, like rugby or rugby league competition in the world.
Right.
And it's hard to, I don't watch a lot of top 15.
Yeah.
But they're like the amount of, like it goes for like 38 rounds or something like that. And each round, and the fans are absolutely fanatical.
Yeah. It almost reminds me a little bit more of some of the American sports in that, like the international game, like they have international ice hockey and basketball and stuff, but it's not
the code.
Like the NRL is, for me, like that's rugby. Like I know they play it in the UK, but like when you think the NRL, like that's the big show. Like, I know there's Origin, but that's kind of a separate deal.
Origin, they say is the ultimate level.
That's the ultimate, but I mean, if you're looking at a regular week in, week out competition, it's the NRL. Like in rugby union, it's all kind of building up to the internationals, the World Cup, like the Six Nations Rugby Championship. That's what you that's the ultimate goal.
Yeah. And you ask any league fan, would they rather see their country, maybe if you
win the World Cup,
win the World Cup,
like to see their team win the NRL? I think a Warriors fan would take the
Warriors
take the NRL
I'm a
trophy.
fan. I'd be like, that would be one of the most significant sporting occasions of my life. That would be like I get emotional when the Warriors win.
Yeah.
Like I'm a fan.
Yeah.
You know, and it's the NRL Grand Final, which happens every year, is such a bigger deal than
Yeah.
the World Cup Final. Like that happens
For league, yeah.
once every 4 years.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's no real sort of comparison between the
Yeah.
international game. It's it is similar to that analogy you make with
Right.
NBA, NFL, NHL, basically. And the other thing they've done, that the leagueies have done, is really, really try and rip the guts out of women's rugby union as well.
Eh?
Yeah, so they've brought in they've thrown stacks of cash. They've basically found all the best talent, women's talent in New Zealand, and have thrown the NRLW.
Right.
So all of these young ladies who are the most talented women in New Zealand
Getting league offers.
are getting league contracts at the
Wow.
moment. So
Because the women's game in New Zealand, they've recently, I think in the last 12 months, contracted our Black Ferns players, so our best kind of 30-odd players.
yeah,
But the rest of them are all on kind of peanuts,
Amateurs.
basically.
yeah.
The ones who play in the very, very abridged, what is it even called?
Super Rugby Aupiki.
Yeah, that's right. Aupiki, that's right. Yeah, and it's such a short competition. It's a bit, I mean, it's a step in the right direction, but it's not.
So they're saying, look, we're going to give you serious money.
Come be a professional athlete,
Come be
basically.
a professional athlete. This is your dream. You've got the skills. You've got the talent. We want to give you a stage to play.
Wow.
So they're making big moves.
They got some serious cash over there.
Yeah.
I don't think other countries, like I'm only aware of it from a New Zealand perspective, but even I get like just kind of what a weaker position union is in Australia compared to the likes of league and AFL.
It's not even a poor younger brother. It's like a second redneck cousin.
Right.
Like it's so far, and they mock the rugby union over there. They're like, but rugby union has been throwing barbs back at them over there, saying, you know, how tough can rugby league be? Have you ever seen one of their scrums? Like the chief executive for the Australian Rugby Union said that. I'm sorry, I can't remember any. Valandis, by the way, is the name of.
Okay.
He's a real. That's an end leader of the NRL. He's a real character. Like a real, like just says what he wants. And, and then he calls when anybody goes to league, he calls them a boomerang. He's like, they always come back.
Like Roger.
Like Roger, like Benji, like Sam Burgess, even Brad Thorne came back. Sonny Bill Williams came back. Very few of them stay away. Even like Lottie, Wendell. Did Wendell go back?
I can't remember.
Lottie went back at the end of his career. They're all boomerangs. Matt Rogers, I don't think did.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah,
league. It's a big deal in Australia.
It's huge.
And it's a threat to rugby union.
They're making moves, and they're actively saying
that doesn't surprise me because Eddie has been stirring the shit since he's taken over.
Yeah, and they're actively talking about players in South Africa.
Wow.
You know, like getting been able to throw $1 million just because they have it.
Right.
And like, well, we've got that $1 million. We might as well throw it on some freak athlete from anywhere.
For sure.
Basically,
there's plenty of them.
Yeah. You know, and that's...
Look how many South Africans are playing abroad, man. You look at any Japanese top 14, to a lesser degree, premiership, URC teams, man.
Yeah, I think rugby league...
South Africans everywhere.
The NRL is sick of playing poor little brother in terms of the whole comparison, not just in Australia, but internationally of the two sports, basically.
Okay.
So, yeah, interesting stuff.
Now, before I get on to my vast list of results, did you have anything else that was particularly burning on your mind?
What was burning on my mind? Oh, I ate a lot of food.
Oh, yeah.
And
that's pretty par for the course, isn't
it? You bastard. Like, I put on...
I literally walked in the door and you're like, I'm eating... I called you, I'm like, yeah, I'm eating dinner. I said, I'm on the way. You're like, I'm eating dinner.
Yeah, you're like, where is my coffee, sir? Yeah, so... I want to ask you a few bit of... Maybe leave to the end of the podcast. But can I tell you one thing that I'm not going to miss about being in the Orient?
Okay.
It's so hot over there. Like 36 feels like 39.
Yeah.
Have you heard of swamp ass?
No.
It's a swamp ass. When you're so sweaty, that there's just so much sweat dripping down your crack that, you know, you kind of feel like you got a wet bum. you know, and then you sit down
I'd
and
just like to apologize to all listeners with children.
on your channel, and you sit down and it's like you feel like you're kind of sitting in a puddle.
But it's yourself.
Yeah,
you're just sitting in a puddle of your own fluids.
So I'm not going to miss the Swan Pass.
Okay.
I had a great time.
No, where I was in China wasn't that hot, thankfully. It wasn't that humid.
It was crazy hot in Malaysia.
Nice.
Yeah, sort of 35-ish most
Okay.
days. Yeah, very, very hot. But then at 3 o'clock every day, the heavens open up, all the heat and moisture goes up,
Right.
and it dumps down in
Okay.
biblical type rains.
Right.
Yeah.
No, where I was in China wasn't quite like that at all.
Really didn't have a little Swan Pass?
No, not so
Right.
much on, but a lot of blocked internet.
All right.
Name me a social media platform.
Bumble.
I don't actually know if it's blocked in China. I wasn't expecting you to go with Bumble.
TikTok.
Oh, that's Douyin in China.
Isn't-
It's a separate.
But they own TikTok, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a big
Yeah,
thing.
but YouTube's blocked, Reddit's blocked, Twitter's blocked.
How did you keep up to date with all those videos I was putting out?
I had to. You didn't put out jack shit. You think you put out one hurling one while I was gone?
I was away. No, I think I put out maybe 2 of just
Okay.
my low effort reaction
Okay.
videos.
Okay.
To anyone who's watched those,
You're a champ.
I do appreciate you, and I can't give you back that time. I'm sorry. You used it unwisely. But I am in the middle of. I showed you.
Yeah, you showed me a brief teaser
Yes.
of some highly edited
Yes.
content. Looks impressive. I'm keen to see it. It whet my appetite. It didn't
What-
whet my ass like Swan Pass,
Did
but
it
it
wet
whet my
it- did it-
appetite. That's all it wet. It just whet my appetite. No.
Sure.
No.
Wet
No.
diddle? Wet diddle? It didn't wet your diddle. No. Okay, good. Isn't it? It's one of my favorite ways to explain a cock. It's diddle, you know. You know, like, don't you think? I think that was what.
I need a beer.
You want a beer? This is the diddle jack guy.
Diddle.
It's a fun word.
It's a fun word. Yeah.
It's a fun word. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, everybody, for the diddle chat. Rugby, not diddles.
So you watched a lesser amount of rugby during your trip.
Yeah, I caught some of the Super Rugby while I was over there, just a VPNing it. I caught a few Kiwi lads
Streams. I was watching the Kiwi lads last night, but I didn't put myself into the chat because it was before halftime, and I was worried Hamish was going to go, "Do you want to jump on?" And I was thinking, "No, I don't want to jump on. I just want to kind of casually watch."
Okay, fair enough.
I should have said something.
Why
but
do you
I
jump
was,
on?
I was just lurking. My kids weren't asleep.
All right, fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay, you're just lurking.
Just lurking.
All right, okay.
I was watching Hamish.
Yes, as we all like to. No, well, yeah,
Let me rattle off some Super Rugby results at you.
Okay, let's do it. No, okay, let's do the test. You tell me who played.
Okay, the Chiefs went away to the Highlanders.
And the Chiefs, despite a nice opening try to the Highlanders, you thought, well, maybe,
No.
and there was just a pummeling by those
52-28.
incredible-looking Chiefs.
52-28.
Chiefs unbeaten this year. Is it their year?
The Chiefs are 10-0. The Highlanders
incredible.
are down in 10th at 3-7.
That includes 2 beatings of the Crusaders.
It does.
That's pretty impressive.
The Drua were home to the Hurricanes.
And a big upset. The Drua got the
Drua got the job
chocolates.
done.
Tell me, I
That's-
didn't actually watch that game. Tell me about it.
Certainly one of the best games I've seen all year.
Oh wow, high praise. The quality's great. The quality.
Quality's great. The rugby is good. And the
so
crowd is just, excuse my language, block the kiddies, but it's fucking amazing in Fiji.
Yeah.
It is honestly
Doesn't
just
that-
so good
Doesn't
when
it
it's
just
got a
make
crowd.
a
Now,
big... Just
interesting.
the week before with the Chiefs and the Canes felt like a great game.
Yeah. It makes such a big difference. Like this weekend in a URC quarterfinal, Leinster played the Sharks,
Yes.
right? And they usually play at a smaller ground called the RDS.
Yeah.
But they had to play at their bigger ground, which they don't usually play at unless it's a big occasion, because the RDS was booked out for a concert.
Okay. Yeah.
I think Bruce Springsteen's in town.
The boss.
The boss. So
Yeah.
the boss doesn't surrender the stadium. So
No.
they had to play in the big stadium, which is like a 50,000 seater. It's more like an Eden Park jobby.
Yeah.
And they limited capacity to I think 19,000. I'm assuming because I think the Aviva has similar issues with Eden Park being kind of like residential. I'm not sure.
Right.
Any of our Irish followers can let us know. But it just felt shit. It felt like Super Rugby. I know it's not their fault if they had a capacity limit, but 19,000 people, or whatever it was for, I think the commentary team said it was 14, in a 50,000 seater is just crap. It felt very Super Rugby.
100%.
That's one of Super Rugby's like issues. Like people always give it shit about nobody goes. Well, 10,000 people go.
Yeah.
Or 15,000 people go, which is not bad. But when you're in a cavernous stadium, it just sucks any atmosphere out of the ground.
100%. And that's one of the biggest problems that I've experienced in my lifetime with North Harbour.
Right.
Is we used to have such a sweet atmosphere when I was a kid going to the Domain of Pain, on Iwa Domain. It's just basically grass banks.
Yep.
Bring your rug, put it down, watch a game. Get rowdy, do whatever you want. The kids can run around
on the field. Yeah, exactly.
It's great, and it can fit. It looks incredible if you get 12,000 people.
Exactly.
It's
chock-a-block. Yeah, sardines in a can.
It feels great, and it feels like it's alive.
Yeah.
And then you put 12,000 people into North Harbour Stadium,
and it feels empty.
It feels like a focus group.
Exactly.
And it's just depressing as. And then it's such a bad matchday experience that you don't get 12,000 next week.
That's right.
You get 9,000.
Yeah.
Then you get 6,000.
It's just spirals. Yeah, exactly right. So the Drua game, they won it late with a couple of penalties.
Yeah.
The crowd was just amazing. They are, for mine, the best thing about Super Rugby Pacific, hands down. I mean, the Chiefs are playing some great rugby, but if you ask me, do I want to watch a Chiefs game or a Drua game? For the Drua at home, man, I want to watch the Drua.
Yeah, the Drua are great. Are they going to sneak into the 8?
The Drua are in 8th at the moment.
I really hope they get in.
Yeah, I really hope they get in as well. But I think they'll be away, so they're not going to make the top half.
And that they just for the quality of the game, the spectacle. Can we just say?
No, just give them.
Honestly,
bring back the conference system. The top team in Fiji gets automatic qualification.
Yeah. Well, if we're playing them, if the Blues are playing them, I'd rather. Even though it's not great they're going to play better in Fiji, but just for the spectacle, just to be excited about it.
Just send it over to Fiji.
Moana Pacifica versus the Blues last night. It was one of those. It was just depressing as. It was just. It was just.
There was no atmosphere. The game was close.
Let
me ask you. The Blues hosted Moana Pacifica,
and I am a Blues fan. But at the end of that game, I was just gutted for them. But gutted for the Moana Pacifica.
31-30. The Blues win it with a last-minute penalty try
with 2 men in the bin.
Yeah.
And I was actually at a poker night in the game, and I kind of was the guy insisting that we had the rugby on in the background.
Right.
And I had like one or two other people sort of lobbying to support that.
Okay.
So I was sort of in the background, but playing poker, losing. Not very good at poker. And talking absolute shit, just hanging shit on each other.
Yeah.
And... yeah, I watched it.
What was the buy-in?
$20.
That's nice.
But yeah, so I think I bought in twice.
Okay.
So I lost $40.
That's all right. That's a good night of poker.
Yeah, it was
I used to play a lot of poker in China with actual Texans.
Oh wow!
I used to lose a lot of money there. But I mean, we paid for 200 kwai, which is about $40.
Yeah, it's just a bit of fun.
Yeah. But then the host, who was the Texan guy, who was very good at Texas Hold'em,
right?
He started inviting rich Chinese guys who liked to play poker to the game. So they would buy in for like 1,000, and they would just like they would just raise my entire stack, and I'll be like, oh fuck this game.
Right.
So I stopped going.
You can't have more than one buy-in at a time, basically. So you can't buy in until you're all out.
Yeah, those guys just raise the stakes, but he liked taking money off the rich Chinese guys.
That's the way you want to play. Is you want to like.
I would always limp in. I was very limp.
The more chips you have, the more you can lean on other people and pressure them.
That's right.
And just keep winning.
He needed to limit the buy-in amount, really, but he just wanted to take more guys' money, so I don't blame him. It was a good little earner for him.
Poker chat. So what was the question before we got into
Blues and Moana?
So I was watching it, and there was a period where you got away to 17-3. Clark scored a nice looking try, and I thought, okay, this feels like a Moana Pacifica game. We should do this in a canter. And then I looked up. Every time I looked up, I was like, Moana scored.
Yeah.
Then I was like, shit.
They're in the lead.
17-15 at half time. This is tight.
Yeah.
And then I looked up and be like, oh my God. We can lose this.
There's only 5 minutes to go.
And then I was like kind of irritated that the Blues were obviously playing so crap that they were losing, but also like, well, geez, this would be nice.
If Moana win, it'd be pretty nice to see them win.
Nice to see them win a game because of this big cross-down derby with 3,000 people watching. And then, there's that... I remember just looking up being like, I watched that last play and I was like, oh shit, it's the 81st minute. And then we're like, okay, we've got a thing of line, then looking, okay, 2 yellows. And then, straight to that. And everyone I was sat with, we were always like, no one was celebrating.
No.
And like all Aucklanders,
everyone
was like, that sucks.
That's a bit shit for them.
That sucks for Moana, man. Yeah. It's awful. And you could kind of see the deflation with Major and can't buy a trick.
Crusaders hosted the Force.
Ooh, I didn't watch this, and I heard a murmur that was this was this an upset? Was this an upset?
Ask yourself the question: if the Force go into Christchurch and beat the Crusaders, do you think you know about it?
But there's not that much. Nobody talks about it. Oh, I know. I think the Crusaders must have. They won. Yeah.
48-13. That's why you haven't heard about it.
Why did I think there was an upset?
Yep.
Okay.
Why did you think that?
Yeah,
You're a madman.
I didn't watch that game. Was it a good game? No.
It was just a hiding.
The Crusaders scored some tries.
Hooker got a hat trick. So.
The Force played alright for the first 15 minutes. Something like that. Or maybe they didn't.
Yeah, they didn't play that well.
Oh, they played pretty poorly throughout.
Well, they just played against the Crusaders in Christchurch, so what can you say?
Yeah.
The Reds hosted the Waratahs.
Oh, God. This is a total pick'em for me now. 50-50. I have no idea. Usually I have a sense of it. Didn't look. I'm going to say the Tars got up.
The Tars did get up 32-24. They actually won it pretty comfortably.
Good game.
Yeah, I seem to remember the Reds getting a last-minute kind of consolation to make the scoreboard look a bit healthier.
And Brad
wasn't
Thorne,
a great game.
Brad
but
Thorne, the winningest man in football.
He's leaving the Reds at the end of the season.
What's his plan? What's his next
I
move?
don't know.
He's
But
stepping
the
away
Reds
from
seem
code.
to be on a downhill slide, so it's a good time for him to go. Maybe the players know that he's going. They don't give an F anymore.
Maybe. Well, yeah, he's a pretty proud man, isn't he? So, and they had a bit of success under him.
Yeah.
They won Super Rugby Australia, didn't they?
They did. He won the old version of their NPC before that got canned with Queensland Country. So he came on really well, promoted. Like, he's one of those coaches that generally just promoted guys from the ranks. He didn't recruit from too many external guys. So
Yeah,
he seems to have the right philosophy. That's what the Crusaders do. They generally just bring guys through their academy, but he seems to have had a bit of an issue with player retention. Like, a lot of guys in their prime have just either buggered off overseas or left the Reds to go to other teams. So
Do you think he's a bit too much of a hard ass?
I think he's a bit of a hard ass. He puts some guys off. Not everybody wants to work for a guy like Brad Thorne, I think.
He's
because
old-
he's
he's old school.
so old school and just so driven that you either love working for him or you probably can't take it.
If you're not living up to his standards, he's going to let you know.
Yeah,
And
I mean, remember the initial thing with him was Quade Cooper. He
Which I
couldn't
kinda-
stand Quade, and he just
I thought I was kind of
made him play
I
club
think
rugby.
Quade Cooper's a great player and very, very talented, but I kind of appreciated that. It was like, I don't care what your name is, I don't care how big you are. If I think you're a bit of a dickhead and you're not going to be good for the team, you're not playing.
That's right.
Then I was like, those two actually had a number of run-ins on the field as well.
That's
and I was
what
like, does it
people
go
would
back
say
to
it goes
that?
back to, people said it went back to that.
Yeah.
Last game was the Rebels hosting the Brumbies. That was on today, this afternoon. We're recording on Sunday.
Oh, yes, we are. What was I doing today? I woke up pretty hungover.
Right.
It was a big night at the poker.
You were $40 lighter in the wallet.
$40 lighter in the wallet. My cousin brought a couple of very nice bottles of Argentinian Malbec wine.
Nice.
I enjoyed that. Why am I telling you about my day?
Because you don't know the answer to who won the question between the Rebels and the Brumbies in Melbourne.
Obviously, I'm going to go with the Brumbies, just on math. Just on
They won
favoritism.
33-26, but the Rebels, they had chances to win to the death.
Really?
They were held up twice.
Wow.
They kept getting advantages. They got the Brumbies yellow carded, but they kept tapping and going. They refused to kind of call for a scrum, and I think they regret that decision.
During our hiatus, correct me if I'm wrong, did the Brumbies sneak a victory over the Crusaders?
No, the Brumbies lost to the Crusaders.
Why do I keep thinking the Crusaders have lost?
Don't know. Because the Crusaders lost to the Drua over in Fiji.
Yeah, I know that.
They lost to the Chiefs twice.
Who did the Rebels beat that I went, whoa?
The
Holy.
Rebels did beat somebody.
Gee, this is high quality stuff.
It is. Might have been the Highlanders.
Did I go 10 for 10 or did I didn't get
You
it
got
wrong.
the Brumbies, you got the Waratahs, you got the Blues, Crusaders, you got the Drua. Yeah, you got them all.
Woo!
Well done. You know your stuff.
And the ones I didn't know, I just went with the who's like.
Let me pose you a question.
Oh, I love it.
Because
Can you while you do it, can you strike a pose as you pose me a question? No, come on.
So,
Just give me one of these.
how many teams are
Just
in...
give me a little pose. Just a tiny one. Just anything. Just do something with your hand.
Do something with my hands.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, now ask the question as you do it. No, come on.
Super Rugby has 12 teams. How many qualify for the playoffs?
Oh, yes. 8 qualify.
Eight qualify for the playoffs. So essentially, only the bottom 4 teams do not make the finals.
Yeah, which is pretty.
Let me just let you know.
All the New Zealand teams are going to qualify.
Well, the Highlanders not at the moment.
Oh,
the Highlanders are outside
of
the range. But you look at this, like
the Highlanders should not.
Remember,
qualify.
Super Rugby back in the day, it was just the top 4.
Yeah,
and then I think they expanded it to 6.
Yeah.
So,
but it makes it a bit arsey. It makes the games not meaningful.
At the moment, you got Chiefs first 10-0. You got Brumbies 8-2.
Yeah.
Right, and then you got third, fourth, and fifth all at 7-3 in terms of wins and losses.
Yeah.
And then you got from 6 down, you got all negative records: 4-6, 4-6, and then 3-7, 3-7, 3-7.
You shouldn't get into the playoffs with a losing record.
Shouldn't, right?
And I even think.
Even if you had the top 6 at the moment, the Waratahs would get through with a negative record. Let alone 8.
Like for me, as a Blues supporter, I feel like our season's been so poor that right now we should be scratching for the playoffs.
See, at the moment, we would be 3rd, kind of battling it out with the Crusaders and the Hurricanes, who've got the same record as us.
Yeah,
it would be tense.
Yeah, and
right now,
you'd be like, every game, you'd be like, we need to win this one. But you're like, it doesn't matter.
It genuinely doesn't matter. The only teams that are really worried about right now is like the Force at 3-7, the Drua at 3-7, or the 4-6, the Rebels and the Highlanders at 3-7. Like,
I guess it's the only.
Who can sneak through to 8th to get beaten by the Chiefs in Hamilton?
And the only team I give a rat's ass about are the Drua.
Yeah.
You know, and the Drua by rights shouldn't be in the playoffs.
Yeah.
But they're just such a fun team to watch. That's why you're pulling for them, and they're the only small point of interest.
Yeah.
And everything else is just fucking nothing.
Now let me contrast this with you.
They're just selection games.
That's right, basically. So the URC has entered its knockout stages. The URC has just had its first round of quarterfinals, right?
Mm-hmm.
The bottom place qualifier in the URC was Irish team Connacht, and they had a 10-8 record. So they at least were 2 games to the good.
Mm-hmm.
The 2 teams which missed out on the playoffs were the Lions and Cardiff from Wales and South Africa, and they had 9-9.
Rian must be gutted.
No,
Sorry, Rian.
But they had 9-9 records, so even records not good enough. You need to have a winning record to make the playoffs. That makes sense, right?
100%.
That feels right as a fan. That feels, even record just not quite good enough.
Yeah, that's right, and that's what in the NRL, like it's actually 17 teams now. So it's always been 16 teams.
Right.
For a long time. It's
the top 8.
So the top 8 get in. And
genuinely, you've got to be a top half team.
You got to have a winning record generally to get in, unless it's a really weird year. But now it's going to be that much harder. It's just one more team in it. So
it's still top 8.
And now
they're not making it let's make it a top 12.
No. So they're still going to be top 8. But it's always been like you don't want to be in the bottom 8 basically. Right. But now there's an extra level of what's the word I'm looking for? Scorn or disgrace
for the team in the bottom spot.
Yeah,
you couldn't even make the bottom 8.
You're not even in the bottom 8. Yeah, the wooden spoon feels even worse.
Classic.
A fun fact: the Warriors, despite having a lot of pretty crappy years since 1995 when they launched, have never got the wooden spoon.
Is that right?
Never come dead last.
I wouldn't have guessed that. I would have thought they would have got it at least once.
No,
because they've been in the bottom 8 many a time.
Most of the time.
Yeah. They got the minor premiership once.
Yeah, 2002.
Nice.
They got the grand final.
Got the grand final and they lost.
2002 against the Roosters. Brad Fittler led the bloody Roosters to that one. Stacey Jones scored a cracker of a try in that game though, and we also made the grand final in a famous year for another reason, 2011. It was weird during the Rugby World Cup. People were saying, "Can we use these fan zones in New Zealand to play the final?" And they were like, "No, we can't." And everyone was like,
"Yeah, sponsorship stuff."
I was at Fox in town watching that final. Right. And
you got it.
Yeah, it was sad.
Now, you watched some Champions Cup, I believe, a couple of weeks ago. There were the semi-finals were kind of lopsided affairs, a little kind of.
And the quarterfinals were lopsided affairs too. But
Champions Cup knockout stages has been kind of less than the most enthralling.
The thing that I liked the most about them were the fans.
Yeah, the fans have been awesome. The crowd atmosphere is
fans are just
insane.
They're a bananas.
Leinster fans were great as well, but the La Rochelle fans were.
I really enjoyed watching a bit of old Tawera
Kiribalo. Sharp.
Can that man? I'm going to pose a question to you.
Make the Wallabies.
Yes.
Maybe.
Ooh, really?
Spicy meatball.
But then, like, he's... I know he's born in Melbourne, right?
Yeah.
A Māori boy, went to Hamilton Boys High School.
He's got like what I would call one of the stereotypical like Māori small town kind of accents.
Tawera Kiobello.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you hear him talk,
He's not even a Mozzie, is he?
no.
But a Mozzie, by the way, is a Māori Australian.
Yeah, no, he's not
Yeah.
like that. He just sounds like small town.
Yeah, he's a kid. I don't know how much time he spent in Melbourne. for
Yeah,
God's
I
sake.
don't know.
Yeah.
He's just got that accent about him,
Oh, Kadebri, that sort of thing?
basically.
Yeah, right. Yeah, okay.
Sounds very Kiwi.
Yes. It's a fun accent, that one. Okay, so La Rochelle, they played Exeter, didn't
They
they?
thrashed them.
Absolutely tore the pants off them.
Not even a contest.
Exeter
scored first,
I saw that.
and then it was all downhill from there.
It really was.
And
It
Toulouse
was.
played Leinster and did the same thing. They scored first, and then it was all downhill.
I
from
actually felt for Toulouse in that game.
there. So they had an injury.
They had an injury, and they thought there was a couple of pretty. I've got no guy in the fight, but I was like, some of these
tough
calls. There was a binning or something that I thought. So the first binning was a deliberate knock on by Ramos, which I always feel like. Ugh.
Yeah.
And what was the second one?
Wasn't it like a head clash?
Yeah,
I feel like I can't remember.
and it
It's
was
a couple
guy-
of weeks ago now.
Yeah, it was, but that didn't feel great.
Yeah.
And then I think there was it a try to lose or something like that? I can't really remember. I just remember something along the lines of there was a call made that was really crucial that Toulouse could have got a try or something like that.
But it was chalked off for a thing back a few phases earlier.
Yeah,
right?
it was chalked off
like
for
a clean out or something. Yeah.
Right, and I was like, how many phases? I would like them not to be able to go back multiple phases. If it happens in the phase leading to the try, that's okay. If there's a forward pass and knock on in that phase, previous phase, reset the clock. Not the reset the clock, but reset
the play.
the frame, the proximity that you're able to make a thing. So that I was like pissed off, and then they turned around within like 3 minutes, and the Leinster
Scored the other direction.
and the game was over. And okay, explain to me where the hell, because I kept on looking at the halfback, and I was like, oh, Dupont
was like playing at
where's he
10.
gone?
Yeah, they had to play him at 10 because they only had 6-2 split, and one of their midfielders got injured. They had to rejig the whole back line.
Yeah, but then when he touched the ball, he looked great.
He still looks great, yeah.
But he's not.
But he's better at 9.
He really is.
Yeah.
He's ferocious.
So yeah, the Champions Cup's been a little bit disappointing in that regard, just in terms of its predictability and the lack of close games.
I'm looking forward to the final.
The final between Leinster and Lashot's a repeat of last year's final, so yeah, hopefully it's a cracker.
I wasn't watching, so hopefully it's tight.
But
yeah,
let me just, because we've talked about, you picked all the Super Rugby games without knowing them, pretty predictable.
I'm not going to get
Champions Cup, but I'm not going to ask you to predict the USC results, but there was a couple of upsets.
Oh, yeah?
So Ulster, who finished second on the log, been having a great year, and they're thinking we don't have the Champions Cup to worry about. Maybe this is our year. They're always kind of a bridesmaid. They lose to the bottom qualifying. Was it bottom qualifying or second bottom qualifying team? They lose to Connacht. Yeah, 15-10.
So that was a game. If you're a fan of Ulster, we're okay. All right, this is gonna be a fun day.
I told a lie earlier. The bottom team was the Sharks.
Okay,
Their
right.
record was still a positive record: 9 wins, 8 losses, and a draw.
Was it a good game?
It was low scoring. Connacht was just one of those games where like, every time Ulster would get close, they would just win a turnover. They didn't score a try and they win. Connacht just kicked
Bad
penalties.
conditions?
Not really.
Really?
Yeah. Just Connacht left a lot of tries out there, but they did enough to win the game.
Wow.
It was just entertaining, even though it wasn't
What's
the
the
best.
problem with Ulster? Are they choking, or what are they? They just can't handle
I
the
would
big
say
moments.
so. That seems to be it. Yeah.
Can't handle the big dance.
It was kind of reminiscent of the Blues Crusaders game, the final last year.
Yeah,
So
right.
where all the pressure were at home, and then
This is the game we're expected to win.
just didn't get done.
Yeah, right.
Leinster won pretty easily over the Sharks, 35-5. There was no real dramas. Leinster didn't play that well. They still won by 30 points. The Stormers won at home to the Bulls, 33-21. But then the final game, Munster, who were the...
How did my boys go?
They won.
Yes.
14-5 away from home. So we had 2
Who did they
away
beat?
wins.
Who did they beat?
Glasgow.
Oh,
So Glasgow weren't that far away from Ulster. They both had 13-5 records. Munster started
13-5. That's a bloody good year to
Yeah,
go out
they
just
played
to
really
get
well,
bundled
but
out.
they had a red card in that game, which didn't help them. But I mean, Glasgow started that game. They came out like firing. They couldn't score, and then Munster scored their first chance, which was kind of against the run of play. But their defence had created the opportunity to score, and then Glasgow got a red card.
Who are the bolters right now? Who are the guys? Who
Connacht is definitely the team. Nobody was giving Connacht any chance.
So, but in terms of players who are putting their hands up for higher honours,
God.
are there anyone? Is there anybody within? You know who I really enjoyed watching play for Leinster? Who played? I think he plays for Leinster. Charlie Ngatai.
Oh yeah, he's had a couple of good weeks.
He played and I was like, geez, he's basically playing
really well in the midfield.
I was like, I thought, oh god, this could be bad.
I don't think he's eligible for anyone else apart from New Zealand.
Oh, that's good. For New Zealand. But yeah, because when he was playing in that team, I was like, he's basically playing in the Ireland national team when you're playing that Leinster team.
He's looking good. He's looking the part.
Yeah, and he was solid because he's playing in place of
Ken Shaw, I think.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So another international.
Yeah, exactly.
So I thought maybe he could be a weak link, but he was dynamic.
Yeah.
You know, I really enjoyed that watching Kiwis. Like, even though Tawera can potentially
play for Australia, he's still a former All Black World Cup winner.
And just seeing the love that he's getting in the south of France,
it's great.
Really great.
It's great. So the semi-finals is going to be Leinster hosting Munster. Those two teams don't like each other very much. That's essentially Crusaders Blues from a New Zealand perspective.
Go Munster.
Even the red and blue thing. And then you got Connacht, who weren't expected to get a result in Ulster. They have to go... They have to go down to South Africa to play the Stormers.
Oh.
So smart money would be on Leinster Stormers final.
Whoa. Oh, my word. Oh, my word.
But yeah, I just love the fact that 2 of the games out of the 4 were upsets.
Yeah,
Whereas everything else has been kind of painfully predictable.
Yeah, well, and that's...
I mean, I'm not saying Super Rugby had some close games. The Rebels gave it a good run. Moana Pacific gave it a good run. The drill was an upset.
Do you think, this is a bigger question, and maybe one you're not quite prepared for, but if you look at the grand state of rugby internationally within the domestic competitions, the European competitions, the elite European competitions, even the international game, with all the controversies that's been surrounding some of these clubs, even Ireland rugby, like the CEO said something derogatory about women's rugby, is the game in a good place right now, or is it in a bit of a valley? Are we rounding off in a darker period of rugby's history right now? I
still reckon there's enough positive stories to keep things like... I'm just generally slightly erring on the side of optimism.
Okay.
Irish rugby is in a phenomenal place right now.
Brilliant.
Like with Connacht getting that win, I had people in the comments saying there's... the game is growing in the west of Ireland, which is traditionally like Gaelic football territory. It's definitely in a great place right now. Can we say the same about everywhere? Probably.
It looks like it's in a good place in France.
Good place in France. Japan's now got a fully professional league, even though I don't follow that much, and I think some of the teams have had a little bit of trouble adapting to this fully professional environment, but there's definitely some steps in the right direction. The women's game, despite all the apparently freaking sexist stuff that goes on in all the bloody boardrooms and whatnot, it's still growing. I mean, you're looking at a pretty small starting point, so for it to grow doesn't take that much, but it's still growing.
Speaking of the women's game...
The England won the Six Nations, by the way.
Yeah.
And John Mitchell's going to coach the English women.
Wow.
Did you know that?
I can't believe he's going to take them on a journey.
Journey.
Yeah, it's a great John Mitchell journey. In regards to the women's game, I don't know, you're probably aware of it already, but the announcement that there's some pretty major games happening in New Zealand at the end of the year.
I'm not aware.
Did you not know this?
I've only just got back this week.
Well, scheiße, I don't know. You're meant to be I'm meant to point out... This is ruining it, dude. I'm meant to know half a fact, and then you mean to fill in the gaps.
Tell me some news.
I don't. You're meant to tell me if it was right or if it's wrong.
Okay.
What I think is happening is there is a mini tournament happening at the end of this year.
Between the Black Ferns.
England, France.
No.
And like one other team who's one of the best teams in the world. I don't know.
Canada?
I don't know.
No?
I thought it was like the 3 best Six Nations teams.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a little... And they've got a little... it's a little tournament title and stuff. Just
that'd be awesome.
High quality. True. Yeah, in New Zealand.
Good. They need more games.
Ruby Tui was talking about it on the breakdown.
Okay.
Ruby Tui has re-signed for
New Zealand
Rugby.
That's cool.
Can I break...
you wanted to talk about some re-signings before
I did. Can I break tradition for a moment?
Do we have traditions?
Oh,
this is our tradition.
The
2CGD.
2CGD. Best thing you could...
Sleep.
Oh, we got problems. Hold on. We're still recording. How about...
We've still got audio.
Is
it just dead battery?
I don't know yet. Why did it go sleep?
How much battery? This is a lot of battery.
Please tell me we were there. It was flashing.
It was flashing the whole time.
Memory card full.
Oh.
Memory card.
The old
now that's
memory
gone
card.
off too.
Oh, it's all going to hell in a handbasket. You better not put that on there.
Oh shit! Now I've got
She uses her own picture.
Yeah, she does. Okay, they can't see that right now.
No, because the camera is not recording.
It's glad we did warn them.
Oh God.
We did warn them.
We did.
say that there was going to be a technical difficulty, so we're going. But I feel we've got a little bit to talk about still. Can we do a little bit longer on this than we usually would do? So I'm gonna put you over here, Mark.
Is there anything in the background that you don't want to be seen from this angle?
Me and Maddie, maybe you can take her off the wall.
Take her off the wall.
You guys,
Okay. Can I do this one-handed without breaking it? Probably not.
who knows? All right, so they're still seeing the technical difficulties. Hang on, there we go. You got rid of that. There you go. Well, there we go. Look. Hey, we're back.
Hey, the camera did not die. The camera battery
didn't die.
did not die,
But
but the memory card's full.
So yeah, that's could have deleted a little bit more, a few more videos of it. Or did I use the wrong SD card in there?
Maybe.
Not the biggest one. Anyway, Ruby Tui is re-signed.
She has.
Damien McKenzie has re-signed.
Rico Ioane has re-signed.
New Zealand Rugby has been saved.
Dashing out the cash. But not to
Flashing that
us.
cash. No, yeah, we're still waiting for our big allocation of money from the NZR. We could be waiting a wee while though, couldn't we?
I think so.
Yeah.
It's all that crap you keep talking about Fozzie.
Do you reckon that's it? Well, now that he's
that's
gone,
it.
do you think Razor's going to angle?
Razor
from that
is definitely an avid listener.
Yeah,
He
might
listens
be.
on all major platforms.
Struggling, we don't need to go through.
Podcasting.
We don't need to go through the platform chat again. Okay, and the one thing I did. So I think we've. Oh, sorry, I'm putting my hand. The one thing I did want to talk about was you are starting a mother flipping extra channel,
Yes.
and I'm very excited about it.
Right.
Can you tell people a little bit more about it?
Basically, I spent the month that I was away in China wandering around with my camera, finding a place that I wanted to go, and I went there.
If you like this face,
with a GoPro.
yeah, that'd be handy right now.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
It has stabilization.
Yeah,
So
that's
yeah,
cool.
I basically went around and I saw some sites and talked to some people, and
I've seen a little bit of your test footage, and
Yes.
it looks dope.
you reckon?
Dope as
Okay,
and I just swore on your podcast.
good.
On your channel. I'm sorry about that.
You bombed the C word once, and I got demonetized. So no C words.
No C words. We haven't said that though.
Good.
We haven't even said punt. And,
No.
it's a rugby podcast.
That's right.
I went off and talk about punting. Okay, well, I'm looking forward to seeing that.
I will endeavor to edit as much as I can.
Beautiful. Wonderful. Fantastic. Okay, well, my arm's getting tired now.
Yes.
So I think we can probably wrap this up.
probably
But
can.
look, it's great to see you again. Great to get the podcast going after a hiatus.
we sound good.
Hopefully we sound good.
If we sound tinny combined with this like shaky selfie cam stuff, then we appreciate you for staying this long.
Yeah, we do. We really do. Yeah, make sure you comment below. And all that sort
A
of
few
stuff.
people were asking, when's the podcast coming back? So
Wow,
I
did we really
appreciate
get-
that. As soon as I came back, like a lot of the comments on the first video were, when is the podcast kicking off
The
again?
podcast is now
people
back.
were saying like, unleash the Tony.
Oh, geez, they haven't seen enough of me recently. Is that the problem? Anyway, thank you all very much for listening. We do appreciate it, and we will be back next week.
We will.
Won't take us another 5 weeks to make
With some
the podcast.
URC semi-finals. More Super Rugby.
All the good stuff and more bullshit.
Take care, folks.
Adida.